Welcome to Shootin the Sport, where I sit down with your favorite coaches, athletes, and people in the industry to shoot the, you know. I'm Matison Little, and today's guest is Jesse Ough. Jesse is a play-by-play broadcaster and host who, like myself, is still trying to figure it all out. We talk about our early days in the industry, some of the crazy memories we have having worked together in the past, and we touch on what we want the future to look like. Jesse is someone I call a friend, and I'm so happy we were able to do this, and I just hope you guys enjoy it as much as I did. So after waiting for him for 20 minutes to get situated, find a water, get ready for this, Jesse Ough, welcome to Shootin the Sport.
Hey, happy to be here, Matison. I'm glad you have your own podcast finally. And while we're airing out our grievances, pretty messed up that you had my girlfriend on before you had me on. I mean, I understand she's cooler, but like, I thought we rolled deeper than that. So that's not great. But also, side note, question. So for my show, like I have this I have this white wall here.
Right.
Roxy went to Yale, so she's a bulldog.
Okay.
I went to Cal, so I'm a bear. So I was thinking getting, if I was going to do something on the wall, a giant canvas that says, "Go Bears, go Bulldogs," for the mascots. That's kind of got like a good ring to it, right? Go Bears, go Bulldogs?
All right, let's get into the podcast, Jesse.
Okay.
We will talk about
bad.
your interior design choices later. I don't know if I love Go Bulldogs, Go Bears. Anyway, So a Cal guy, like you just mentioned, you moved to Florida, now you're in Arizona. When did you move and why?
I moved to Florida in September of 2020, right in the middle of a global pandemic, because I got my first opportunity in professional sports broadcasting. At Cal, I was on the radio mainly, and I was doing it mainly for the campus radio station. And then I got my first job doing professional sports in Florida, and that was for the Florida Basketball Association, which is, if there is a major league for basketball in the United States, it's the NBA. If there's a minor league, it's the G League. And then, there's all these individual leagues like the TBL, the FBA. There's all these individual leagues. That's probably the AA level, if I can equate basketball to baseball, which they're not really equatable, but whatever.
Understood.
So I got that job in Florida in September of 2020. So I moved down there and I got to see the world of minor league basketball. And if anybody knows anything about minor league sports, they're not pretty a lot of the time.
Right.
And I mean, you have the Durham Bulls there, which is actually a pretty professional organization. They run their organization really well. Yeah. I hope they hire you more often, but, minor league basketball is not like that. Minor league basketball, it's a lot of guys that are trying to mainly go overseas. They know they can't make the NBA, so it's a little less glamorous. It's a little more, hey, let me pay to be in the league so that way I can get the footage of myself to go overseas. And then some people treat it just like a rec league.
Right.
And so me as trying to establish myself as a broadcaster, a little bit harder in a league like that. Fast forward a few years later, now I got the ESPN jobs and everything, and then just moved to Scottsdale, Arizona, because I'm taking on a bigger, more expanded role with the Big 12, actually. Pac-12 hopefully next year, Big 12 this year here in Arizona. Obviously, you have ASU and University of Arizona, so be doing a lot of stuff with them. I'm also still doing stuff with the ACC schools. I will be out on the East Coast in this next week, actually, as we're recording this, for UNC. Still go Blue Devils, I guess. We're a Blue Devil crew.
You know how it is.
Yeah, I know. So we're going to say go Blue Devils, but I am calling some games at UNC. They're playing K-State and App State. And, just very blessed to be in this role where we can kind of travel around and just always be on the go. I think you kind of have to be a little bit of a nomad in this industry. You kind of have to just go where the wind takes you. And something actually someone told me recently, which convinced me to move out to Arizona, was you always got to take the opportunity that's going to get you the next opportunity, right? And so for you and me, we were both working at University of North Florida. And that was great because it was good tape for us, and also it gave us a good amount of reps. And they might have given us more reps. But you understand this as well as anyone, that you have to move somewhere and go to somewhere that's going to give you an opportunity for someone to look at you a little bit more, right? So for you, when you're doing Wake Forest stuff or when you're doing, the Citadel stuff for football, someone's more likely to tune into a Citadel football game because football is more popular than, let's say, a soccer game at UNF, even though you can do an entire soccer game, every single game for an entire season at UNF. People like football more than they like soccer. I'm just being real.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Sorry to all the soccer fans that watch this show.
Soccer's
Your sport
great.
is not as popular as football.
You did miss one major part about your time in Florida. That's where you met me. Probably the greatest thing you
I was
ever
like,
did
wait,
in
what
the
am I
Sunshine
missing?
State.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about like the grind and getting those reps. We met in the press box of a high school football game.
Oh,
We
did.
It
You're
was the
so
first
right.
time we ever met. I worked for a network that wanted to do that game. You already had play-by-play rights to that specific school.
Yeah.
So we ended up not working together because of a rain delay, but we got to meet in a press box of a high school and never ended up doing a football game together. So that was fun, and I think it's just
we did.
Yeah, it's just a testament to the grind.
But the thing is about that one was you could also just never know who you're going to meet, so you kind of have to say yes to every opportunity.
Yeah.
I know this was probably the case for you. It was your first job out of college, essentially, at UCF.
Right.
You get this job doing high school football on Friday nights on a network that's on digital, and so I mean that's the way the world's going.
Right.
So you say yes to that opportunity, then you meet me, and then all of a sudden now my phone's getting blown up by you saying, hey, can you check out these demo reels?
It's all about helping each other because you helped me by looking at demo reels and things like that, but then I'm working at UNF for a season. The next season you get an opportunity there, and it was kind of like oh hey, I know that guy, he's great. And so then we got to work together at UNF when we had some of the best car rides up. You figured out that my music playlist isn't Taylor Swift like you expected it to be.
No, I really thought it was going to be horrible, actually. I was like, it's going to be Taylor Swift, all like 1980s throwbacks that I've never heard before in my life, and then some random punk band. That is what my guess was going to be. Yeah.
And what was it, Jesse Ough?
It was pretty banging throwback music,
Right.
like a lot of rap, R&B from the 2010s, early 2000s.
And I think
Y2Ks. I was very impressed, I will say. Remember when I had a migraine when we were going up to UNF 2 and I made you pull off the highway at Buc-ee's?
I also remember when we got halfway to Jacksonville, which is a 2-hour ride, and you say, "Oh crap, I forgot my boards." And for anyone that doesn't know, boards are essentially all of the notes that a play-by-play person would need for a broadcast. So a lot of great times in Florida, but you mentioned the need to move. And I moved a little over a year ago to North Carolina from Central Florida. My boyfriend getting his doctorate at Duke, I had the option to stay or go. And it was in my mind, I can stay here with consistent reps doing these sports I like, or I can take a chance on myself and get thrown into the middle of ACC country and try to make a name for myself there. And so I took the chance with the confidence that, this is my plan. This is what I want to do. Why did you have the confidence in yourself to, as of recently, move to a completely new state on the opposite side of the country in Arizona?
One, because my family is actually from the West Coast. I'm from Northern California myself, so wanted to be closer to family. Two, I mean, I've had all the reps that I could possibly need. I just needed a bigger platform to broadcast on because, like I said, and no offense to UNF, but someone is more likely to tune into a volleyball game for Arizona State versus, let's say, LMU that I was just calling the other day versus like a UNF versus JU game, right? It's Big 12 versus ASUN, which no offense to ASUN, no offense to UNF, but that's how the industry works is everyone wants to see you on a bigger game. How can you do on a bigger stage? So even if it was going to be less opportunities for me out here, which it was originally going to be, and then it just did not end up being that way. Thank you, universe. But I knew I had what I needed from my experiences, both in minor league stuff and in, my preliminary ESPN Plus stuff out in Florida, specifically because you're going to see something new every game and you have to call everything very differently. And how do you work with moments that are very awkward on air or something happens in a game, like someone goes down, but you can't necessarily say or tell the audience, hey, I think it's a knee injury.
Right.
What do you say in those moments when someone's down? How do you fill the air time? But also, how do you get better at going to breaks? How do you get better at calling action in different sports across a wide variety spectrum of sports? Like I called track and field the NCAAs last year. I've never called track and field a day in my life, but I'm calling the NCAAs for track and field back in May. So I think I sort of got my confidence from just my knowledge that I have of my love for sports. If I love a sport, I'm just going to portray that on air, and I think it's going to work. You know, for me, I know I like sports, and I know I would like to always talk about sports. So let's just do it for a living. And so for me, in my head, I don't try to get too caught up in my words, and I also try to, ironically, I try to say less when I'm actually on these ESPN broadcasts, because I think you just let the sport carry itself. And I think when people mess up on air, it's because they're trying to say too much or trying to do too much. And I think that takes away from the actual sport that you're supposed to be watching. Yeah. This is just purely television, by the way, though. Radio is a whole different beast. Radio, you have to paint the picture. You have to say everything. And so, in all honesty, radio was a great place for me to start when I was doing college football, when I was doing college basketball on the radio, because when you're doing TV after that, it's saying way lesser amounts.
Right.
Like,
which can be hard at times, though.
Yeah, it is. But also, you can just let the action unfold in front of you and collect your thoughts and then say something. And I've always learned that that's going to be better than trying to say every little thing that's happening while it's happening on the screen, because the viewers can see it. They don't need you to tell them every little thing that's happening. Right. They want backstories. Yeah. They want a story, but they don't need every single little thing that's being told in front of them. By the way, can I go back to this Buc-ee's experience real quick? Because
let's bring it around town.
We're on our way up to Jacksonville, and I get this massive blaring migraine, and we stop at Buc-ee's. And how about this? You're like, all right, they probably have migraine medicine. And I was like, yeah, bet. We go inside, and I get the migraine medicine, and all of a sudden I look at you guys, and I'm like, you know what? What goes well with migraine medicine? Beef jerky. And we walked out with 1.5 pounds of beef jerky to eat on the way up to Jacksonville. So that's just a good little story that migraine medicine and beef jerky is the cure to a migraine.
And tons of caffeine.
And a lot of caffeine. Oh, yeah. And we used to pound the Celsiuses and Monsters before the games, too.
Well, I would bring you guys Celsius to try, because I will attest to the fact that I think I put you and Alvin, who was our analyst at the time, on to Celsius.
Yeah, the Fuji apple flavor.
Fuji apple pear, the best.
Girl, let's go. That's the one. Yeah, but you have caffeine addiction, don't you?
I do. I'm really bad. I think that I used to have this weird thing that if I didn't have an energy drink before I went on air, an energy drink and pretzel thins, I had to have it every single time. I used to convince myself that if I didn't have those two, I was going to have an awful broadcast.
Pretzel thins, which flavor though?
Just the original.
Salted or honey mustard?
Just the original, because I'm a dairy-free girly. So some of the flavors I can't have. But Fuji apple pear Celsius and pretzel thins were my go-to. What's your pregame snack? What are you eating?
Well, now that there's these, crazy broadcasts and stuff, it's usually a whole ass meal. Sorry, can I say that on air? I can say ass?
You can say that.
Cool. It's a whole ass meal. And I usually, it depends on where I am, but for football, it's usually some sort of barbecue. So I'm chowing down whatever I'm having. I was just in Western Kentucky calling a football game there, and they had wings and salad. So, but no dessert. I don't do any sort of sweets before a game, because that's my reward for having a good game, It's like that and a nightcap. I got to have a nightcap at the end of the night. Tequila's my thing. So if I have a good game, I have a little bit of tequila at the end of the night, just one shot on the rocks with a lime. Boom, it's a nightcap. Chris Fowler does that too, ESPN's main play-by-play. So. Okay. Yeah, so it's more of a post-game than pre-game. Pre-game, I'm kind of just eating anything. I used to do the Celsiuses before the game, but caffeine and me don't really go well together. Right. Is what I've learned. And,
I have another memory with you I have to bring up that has to do with the pregame meal. Do you know where I'm going with this?
No. Did I have to go to the bathroom?
Nope.
From the Celsius? No?
We're at UNF.
That's happened a few times, too.
We're at UNF, and we're getting our pregame meal, me, you, and Alvin. And it was something that you wanted to put mayo on. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Oh. Okay.
And you couldn't get the mayo packet open. You were trying and trying. So you decided, I'm going to use my teeth. And just a little bit too much force, and mayo all over your face, all over the front of you.
Splurted all over me. It was the craziest look of all time.
Okay, so you mentioned,
Anyways.
Now that we're talking about food, you mentioned you are coming to the East Coast next week.
Yes. Yes.
Monday, this will come out Monday, the Monday that you are landing in Raleigh.
Oh,
So
really?
It will.
Hell yeah.
Quick turnaround.
It's a quick turnaround
Yes.
on editing.
Yep.
What do you use to edit, by the way?
Adobe.
You're in Adobe Premiere Pro, girl?
I got certified in Adobe Premiere Pro in high school, and I've never.
I was going to say, when you were 12 or what? Because I took that class too.
Right. So
That's awesome.
I've never switched up, but you're gonna be.
Wait, but you're on a Mac. Why don't you use Final Cut Pro?
Because I'm loyal.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
Sorry, please continue.
You're going to be about a mile and a half. Your hotel is a mile and a half
Yes.
from my apartment. You'll be calling UNC games. I'll have baseball and football and all the things. What are we going to do? Are we going to hang out during the day?
Yeah, hike for sure.
Right.
That's one thing that I never really got in Florida. So being from California, you're either an hour away from the beach or you're 2 hours away from snowboarding
Right.
or anything in the mountains. You know, in the summertime, it's nice in the mountains, so there's
Yeah.
no snow. But I like elevation. I like, going up to a peak and seeing a view. That's nice, and that's something I was sincerely missing in Florida, which is why when I lived in Orlando, anytime one of my friends would visit, I would say, yo, let's go on the Orlando Starflyer. You know the giant ride with the swings?
The
that
one
goes
where
up
a kid fell out of it like
100
not too long ago?
No, that was the slingshot.
No, it was in
I swear that was the
Icon
slingshot.
Park. Icon
Yes,
Park?
at Icon Park. It was the slingshot.
No, there's not a slingshot
Yes.
at Icon Park.
There is a slingshot.
No, there's not.
It's a colored up slingshot. Yeah, and they shoot
No,
you in the air, and
it's
some
like-
kid went. Okay. Yep, please
Thanks,
look it up.
Mom.
I'm telling you there's a slingshot. And someone for sure got very injured. Yeah.
It was neither.
Yeah.
It was neither.
What?
It was the free fall ride.
Bro. There's a free fall ride?
Yeah, the where it goes up and then it falls really fast.
We have one of those?
Yeah. Well, I will let you know also, North Carolina isn't as mountainous as California, so you're not going to get as many peaks on our hike. It's going to be a lot of trees and water.
Yeah, fantastic.
Okay, cool.
Also, there's no anything in Florida besides beach, which is not bad. I love the beach. Don't get me
Right.
wrong. I love surfing. But also, there's no surf in Florida either. So,
It depends on where you are. I'm from Florida, true and true, so I am still fascinated by the mountains. Saw snow for the first time this last winter.
for the first time,
For the first time.
how was that?
It was crazy. I liked it while it was falling. I liked it for about 24 hours, and then I was over it.
Yeah.
When I had to drive to a basketball game in snow,
Yeah, that's fair.
definitely made my mom
But-
fly up and drive with me.
Have you done any snowboarding or skiing
No.
yet? Did you try any of those?
No.
You didn't try any snow sports?
I don't know if you know this about me. I like to talk about sports, but I'm
Yes,
not very
you and me both.
coordinated.
Yeah, you don't have to be coordinated. You just get on a snowboard and go.
That's
It's like riding a bike.
I don't know if that's true. You've seen.
Do you
me
know how to
play-
ride a bike?
You've seen me play pickleball. I'm not very good at riding a bike.
Yeah.
Not very.
You're not very good at riding a bike. You either can do it or not. It's
Not-
like
that's
you
not
have to be
true.
good at it.
There's
No, it's not like
definitely
you can
different
be
levels.
good or bad about riding a bike. It's you can ride a bike. You can go
There's
without the training
different
wheels or you
levels.
can't.
Okay, let's talk about. You just
Okay,
covered
yeah.
your first ESPN college football game. How was that?
I did.
How was it?
There's a lot of prep. I actually went into the broadcast the most prepared I think I've ever been for a broadcast, just
Right.
because it was my first opportunity to call college football for ESPN. So I went in and I had to know every single thing that was going to happen before it happened.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I could be successful. And I said I had confidence in everything and all my sports that I've done, but I really hadn't done football in a while,
Right.
because I mainly done it at the high school level, and then before that I was doing it on the radio at Cal. So from a TV standpoint, very different a different amount of information for college versus high school, or even for, when I was in college doing it on the radio and the stuff you had to say. But I got a new broadcast platform, Broadcaster's Edge. I don't know if you've ever used Broadcaster's Edge, but it's a great platform, and shout out to them. They're not even paying me to say this, but
we'll get them to
their platform for football made it so easy to call these games.
That's awesome.
I just, put in my little tidbits about each player. The nice part is when you're building your broadcast boards, and we were talking about this earlier, broadcast boards essentially are cheat sheets that help you when you're a play-by-play, color analyst, sideline reporter,
right,
talk about the game and give you your little snippets that you want to say. You had coaches meetings earlier in the week. What do I want to say during the game about this? You write it down on your broadcast board, the spotting board. For me, it's that plus recent streaks plus all this background information on each player. And also the most annoying part about creating broadcast boards yourself is having to put in every single person's name, height, weight, position, hometown,
yep,
transfer from whatever school across the United States or the freaking world. And that part just gets so tedious because it's all very trivial stuff. And sometimes you're going to mention it on air, but sometimes you're not, but you need it.
Yep.
And so that's the stuff that you need. And it takes too long to do that myself. So with Broadcaster's Edge, they already have all that stuff in there and the stats from the season preloaded in.
Oh, that's nice.
And so, so I already had stats and then all the basic information about people. So all I had to do was just go out and do my research for, what storylines from each player I wanted to talk about, what their recent streaks were. Like Maverick McIver he had just thrown for the most FBS yards in WKU history or something like that, And then also I wanted to know coach stories, what coach liked about last game, what coach didn't like about last game, who was, people on the team that I should know about, any interesting storylines there with those people. And that made it so much easier. So I had an exorbitant amount of stuff written down on these sheets. And when I went into the game, you always think you're going to say most of it. And I said maybe a quarter at the most.
Right.
So, but better to be over-prepared than under-prepared, as you know.
Right. And being a sideline reporter, I'm very used to that life. I feel like I have a storyline on every single player, and total, I get probably about 6 minutes of airtime, like during the whole show, which is fine. I think that the value in a sideline reporter is beyond what I say on air, because during football especially, because the field is so large and there's so many people on each sideline, it's hard for someone like you from the broadcast booth to see what's happening on the other side. So I can walk to the other side and say, hey, number 32 is out. Like something like that I don't even need to make on air. I don't even need to hear my voice, but now you have that information. And I think that's the pro of having a reporter. But
also, I would say one thing that you also do really well when we were working together was,
hype me up.
We got on these coaches meetings before the games. And here, let me give you a little bit of praise for a sec before I go back to not giving you any. You do a really good job of asking questions, just general storyline questions that can be used in a broadcast, right? Because that's sometimes something I don't normally think about. I want to know, how players have actually performed on and off, like on the field or on the court or something like that. And you're more thinking about storylines about people's lives and how the locker room has been impacted by certain things that have happened off of, the court or off of the field and stuff like that. So that's something I never really necessarily go into these coaches meetings thinking about, but then coach will say something where I'll go, oh wow, that actually we should talk about that on the broadcast. And then I can maybe mention that for maybe a brief second, and then you come in and actually have the full rest of the story. So it's also a good setup for me to you, and then you back to me, hey, we have this storyline now that we want to talk about. And so from my analytical brain and my analytical point of view, I was a math major in college, imagine that. But I'm very analytical with what I want to do and what I want to talk about, statistics, specific storylines from performances in game. But I like how you bring the holistic view of the whole player and coach into a broadcast. So
I think
kudos to you as a sideline reporter.
Something
that's what sideline reporters for.
Something I was told early on was, imagine Jane from Durham, North Carolina. She doesn't know anything about football. She doesn't know anything about the teams that are on the field. She doesn't know anything about stats first downs, touchdowns, nothing. What is going to make Jane lean in and listen? She cares about the storylines. She cares about how something this team has done off the field is affecting them on the field. It's it's all about making your viewer lean in, I think, and making sports something that everyone can come together and watch and kind of like, unite different people even if they don't have the same interests. Like me being a UCF fan and you not being a UCF fan, like we can still watch a game and appreciate a good storyline.
Yeah, well, that's something people always ask me is why did you get into broadcasting in the first place? And for me, it's because I want to make people smile and I want to bring people together. That's always been my response is I think sports is one of the only things, because people don't agree on anything now.
Right.
Political, social, economic.
Right.
Nobody agrees on anything, but sports is the only thing where we can all come together and just appreciate a game, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's just a game. And like, if you think about the Olympics, right? If you talk to 2 or 3 people in the country about anything, they're not going to agree on what the color red is or what 2 + 2 is.
Right.
But we're all going to root for Team USA the same. We all want to see Team USA win a gold medal. And that's the coolest part about sports is it's one of the only things that still can bring people together at the end of the day because you're rooting for a team and that won't have an impact on your actual individual life, right? Political, social, economic. Those are the biggest things that people are worried about in modern day society. Sports affects none of that. But we can all enjoy that together, and I think that's the experience I want to give people is bringing them together to enjoy this thing that doesn't actually have an impact on our life, which makes it fun to root for because maybe you want to have an impact on your life. Like I know that the 49ers, every time they lose the Super Bowl, I'm going to go in a tailspin for 2 weeks. That's going to happen. So it does indirectly have an impact on my life, but it's not actually going to affect me in any way. I will buy more tequila because the 49ers lose the Super Bowl. But at the end of the day, it doesn't actually really affect me as much.
Let me ask you a question. Are you buying more tequila if the 49ers lose or if they win?
No. So I buy more tequila in quantity if the 49ers lose. If the 49ers win, I am buying Clase Azul, the nicest tequila out there, like their rosé or something.
Okay.
I already have my eyes set on it. I'm getting the nicest tequila, and I will drink that nice tequila. If the 49ers win the Super Bowl, that'll be the best day of my life because I got 4 NBA championships from the Golden State Warriors. I got 3 World Series from the San Francisco Giants. 49ers are the last team that's just leaving me hanging. 3 Super Bowls in my lifetime, 3 losses, 2 of which have been to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, how do you feel about Taylor and Travis being engaged?
I thought it actually happened a little bit beforehand. I think that when they were on the podcast, the New Heights podcast, I definitely think they were already engaged.
Probably.
But I think that they wanted to keep their momentum going into the season, and not lose track of their storyline together. And so I think they said it afterwards, but I think they had been engaged for a little bit of time there. I also think that their prenup has got to be longer than any encyclopedia in the entire world.
That lawyer is going to work.
That prenup is absolutely, those lawyers went in on that thing. So that's what I think.
I am not a fan of, not objectively a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs. Can I appreciate they're a good football team? Yes. I'm not a Swiftie. Can I appreciate that she is a talented artist? Yes. But I am a fan of love, and I love it. I love it. I think it's great.
You love it?
I do. I think it's great. Think about how many, and I know that people have said this openly, think about how many young girls are now watching football because of Taylor Swift.
I mean, yeah, it's probably really good for the sport at the end of the day.
Right.
Because now you have however many 1 billion Taylor Swift fans tuning into Kansas City Chiefs games, which, okay.
But what is your 5-year goal? What do you want to be doing in the next 5 years?
NBA.
NBA?
For sure, NBA. So I have this show right now with a couple of former NBA players. And
plug it.
All right. Basketball Past, Present, and Future. It's on all of Gray Media's sports channels around the United States. We're also on NBA TV in Canada.
Cool.
And it's a lot of fun, and I really want to be in the NBA so I can actually keep talking about these stories for a long time to come. And so in 5 years, I think I can be in the NBA. I also think, side note, that there are 2 more NBA teams coming. One in, no, not Nashville. That's going to be baseball. One in Las Vegas and one in Seattle. Those are going to be the new 2 teams that are added. 2 teams from the Western Conference are going to move over to the Eastern Conference. And we'll have a new 2 brand new teams. So I'm hoping that with my show originating from Las Vegas, now I'm associated as the basketball guy in Las Vegas. I actually have the #1 men's basketball show in Las Vegas.
Go you.
So, yes, thank you. That being said, I want to continue that because I want Vegas to associate men's basketball with me, hopefully.
Right.
And so when they get their NBA team, they're thinking, okay, the only logical choice about the person to do play-by-play for our team is this, hopefully by then, 29-year-old guy, 27 now. So hopefully the team gets going in 2 years, and then I can say I'm broadcasting the NBA by the time I'm 30. If I'm not, though, I'll give myself some grace. Everything's great. I literally just moved to Scottsdale, Arizona, so got to work through my Big 12 roots first and everything. But
right.
Yeah, just hoping to do the NBA at some point. I want a little bit more consistent college football because it was probably the most fun I've ever had doing a broadcast because it was something very, very, very new again to me. But also I felt like I was most prepared for that broadcast. And so by being more prepared than I think I've ever been for a broadcast, I think I naturally just had more fun because I knew I was just going to be fine. Right. And so, and thank, universe, that was the place I was in. Right. I'm very blessed to be able to have these opportunities and talk about these athletes. Right. And do what I love. And so I think being a little bit more consistent in college football would be kind of nice in the next 5 years. Right. Well, but NBA, college football, I think that would be the most ideal thing for me. And if in 5 years, what's your 5-year plan? NFL?
I don't know. I like the idea of being in the NFL. Obviously, like working with the NFL sounds amazing, but I love college football. I love it. I think if I could do a little bit of everything, I love basketball, I love football, I love baseball. I think that if I could dabble in a little bit of everything while still being able to have a family and maintain a life at home, like that would be great. Also, big one for me, and I'm putting it out there again, Little League World Series, let me be your new reporter.
Hey, yes, let's go. Little League World Series.
Bucket list item for me. Hopefully something I can accomplish in the next 5 years. I know Jess Sims just took it over, but I would love to do it as well.
Well, you got to become a Peloton instructor like Jess. You'll just get all these jobs.
Well, I think that she has some talent to her too.
No, she's also fantastic.
Yeah, I don't think it's just Peloton. But
I'm just saying it helps her brand. She's a brand.
Right.
And Matison Little is also a brand. You got to sell
growing. She's growing.
Yeah, exactly. You need T-shirts.
Matison Little.
Or like Shootin the Sport with Matison Little. Like, that would make more sense. Maybe with your face on the back or something like that. And a clown on the front.
That was rude.
Sorry.
All right. Anyway, Jesse Ough, well, we have big plans next week. You'll be calling volleyball at UNC. I'll be baseballing and footballing all week. But we're going to go on hikes. We're going to have a margarita together at some point.
Hey! Please. Need it.
And yeah, maybe I'll show you some good coffee shops around here. We can go check out Duke and the Chapel before you head over to the other school. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Why'd you start a podcast?
I like to tell stories. I'm very nosy, and this was a way for me to sit down with people in all areas of the industry. That's why I kept it very broad. From athletes to people like you who are also trying to make it in this industry, to coaches, like just to sit down and talk about both sport, but also shoot the shit with my favorite athletes and people in the industry. I think it's just what I like to do. And it was a way for me to do that on my own terms and with the people I want.
Favorite and least favorite part of this industry?
Favorite part of this industry is being able to do what I love and call it work. Being able to watch sports, talk about sports, tell stories, and get paid to
blessings
do it.
On blessings. Yep.
Least favorite part, and I wouldn't even say least favorite part, but most challenging part is the
working with me.
Yes. Just kidding.
Okay.
The uncertainty of it all, because we could both be grinding our lives away now for nearly a decade and still not ever make it to where we want to be. And that's just the reality of it.
But then how do you keep yourself going then if there's that, little bit in your back of your mind where
I don't have a plan B. This is it for me. It's either this or nothing. So I'm good.
Yeah, what would you do if you weren't a sports broadcaster?
I used to always say I wanted to be a kindergarten teacher.
That is so on brand. That is incredibly on brand.
What about you?
I would either be, now I was thinking about it, I'd be a firefighter. I don't know why. I just, I respect firefighters. They're awesome people. Every firefighter you ever meet is really, really nice.
People can't hear you talk in the fires.
Yeah, but that's fine. I don't need to talk. I'll talk to my firemen when we're not, hanging out, playing cards, stuff like that. When I was younger, I always wanted to be a MLB pitcher, but then that went south once I tore my rotator cuff. So not as fun, but someone always told me when I was playing baseball, you always have to have a backup plan. So that was my backup plan. I also, too, do not have a backup plan.
No.
If this broadcasting thing goes south, there is no other plan besides this. But also, in our industry, I don't know. As long as I feel like grind, the opportunities will present themselves, right?
Right.
Luck is preparation meets opportunity. And right now we're getting, more opportunities, but we're making use of the opportunities we have and we're being prepared for them. So at the end of the day, that's somewhere we can hopefully go. Who's your idol again? Is it Laura Rutledge?
I wouldn't say I necessarily have an idol because I definitely want to create my own space in this industry. Right now, obviously I love Laura Rutledge. She's great. I think the way that Chris Budden is able to do a little bit of everything while still have kids at home and do it with such grace to her. She never seems tired, never seems overworked. She just does it all and makes it look so effortless. I think that's kind of where I picture my career going. But yeah, obviously the greats like Laura Rutledge, Erin Andrews, Holly Rowe, all of those people are where I want to be ultimately, but in the style that Chris Budden does it.
Holly Rowe is so good at her job, by the way. Shout out to Holly Rowe. She is Holly. Incredible. If you go back and you listen to some of her interviews, she doesn't just ask people how they feel. Oh, how'd you feel after winning? Right. She's got these deep, in-depth questions that she's always done research for. And that's one thing I actually really appreciate. Here, I'm going to give you a little more praise. Don't get used to it. But you never ask the question, how do you feel? And I love that.
I think sometimes it can be warranted, though.
Sometimes you do when you need it, but it's not your go-to question, because a lot of people, when they're first starting out or, they've been in the industry for a while and they just don't care enough to dig deep enough into a question or come up with something good, they just ask, oh, how are you feeling? After a win. You can ask anyone how they feel after a win. But okay, if you won a championship, that's a different feeling than just winning a single game.
Right.
And a lot of people ask, how do you feel after that win? They probably feel good because all wins feel good and losing sucks as a standard. I don't know anyone that likes losing, and I don't know anybody that doesn't like winning.
I think taking it to the next level is why was that win so emotional for you? Why? Things like that.
There you go.
You'll
be successful. You got it.
Well, Jesse,
you got it. You don't need anyone. You're totally good.
While you are giving me praise, I'll give you some praise too. I appreciate you being such a great friend in this industry. I am super excited to hang out with you next week. And this was super fun.
Thanks, Matison. We'll see you soon. Thanks for having me.